So I'd like to announce them real quick. Yay.
Ding, ding, ding. Ding, ding.
Before we get going, everybody knew that the KMCDC
has officers now. So I'd like to announce them real quick. Yay. We have, let's see if I can go and count clockwise. Bill Brantley, who is our speaker today, he is going to be our communications officer. So we look forward to a lot of wonderful, better communications. Victor Jimenez, he is our membership officer. So he's going to be helping us grow members and keep track of members that come and whatnot, right? And then
I'll also be asking you to introduce me to some of your friends at other events too, which I can follow up with.
And Niran Sarath, she is our program officer, and she's sharing that role with Jamie Moskoff. She is going to be doing that, plus being the vice chair of this group. And I'm going to be the chair. So we're very excited, very excited. So welcome all of our leaders, and I can't wait to see what happens to this group. So, okay, today we have a wonderful colleague of mine who is speaking on Agile project management for Agile and Agile knowledge management, which is something a lot of people have been talking about. So I'll hand it off to Bill Brantley. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all so much. And what I want to do, and we kind of do this a little informally, because what I do with this usual training is I'm teaching people about Agile project management. So how many of you already know about Agile project management, have worked with it before? Okay, I want to do kind of a quick refresher for some folks that haven't experienced it. But this is what I call my general introduction. And I guess the highlight is you get to play with Legos. And what I want to do is run you through kind of a very quick, condensed project. So you're going to be doing some sprints together. And for you folks, what I want to do is kind of debrief you on, as knowledge management professionals, when you go through the Agile project, and I think doing it hands-on and being with the team, look for where we can put knowledge management into practice. Because as a project manager, and I have been a project manager now for, oh my gosh, too many years, certified in, the traditional project management, certified in Agile, just working on something now called disciplined Agile delivery. Anyone familiar with that? It's kind of interesting. It's like a collection. It's a toolbox of Agile methods, and you mix and match how you want to do them. So it's kind of like Legos for Agile. And the biggest thing I noticed with my Agile project teams and even traditional project management is we're really bad at knowledge management. We have a lessons learned, we have a retrospective, we're supposed to write down things, but I can tell you in the 25 years I've done projects, you're lucky if we get that far. I mean, if I can get my application developers, I was an IT project manager, just to document their code, that would be a miracle. So I've been trying to push more and more knowledge management. And one of the big things, we'll talk about this in a second here, is with the Agile Manifesto, it's, it's basically, you kind of push down the documentation. You don't want to have too much documentation. And when I mention knowledge management, they say, oh, well, I don't want to do that much documentation. So this is why I'm trying to push more for this. So Tara and I actually did a presentation about this. How many years ago was it? A couple of years ago? Can't remember. One of the conferences where we talked about project management and Agile project management and knowledge management, okay? So let me do a real quick briefing. And I want to make sure I respect our time. So when it gets about, what is it now, 4:03? 4:03? When it gets about 4:20, tell me. Sure. And I'll go ahead and just wrap it up, and we'll get into the Legos, because, it's funny. Everyone loves Legos, right? That's right. That's why it's so successful. You can get certified in this, by the way, in Legos? Yeah. Are you certified? Serious play? Very cool. When did you get certified? Okay. Oh, okay, great. Yeah, so it's kind of interesting, and I love it as a training tool because it's hand-on, and gets people communicating. So, okay. Let's see here. Where's my person helping with this? Is that working? Nope. Okay. Let me see. No, not working. There we go. Okay, I thought it was that. All right. So real quick here, what's the definition of Agile? What does it mean to you guys? If I say something's Agile, because it's the big buzzword right now with all the consultants, right? You can't turn on the TV without someone saying something Agile. I mean, I was watching something last night about retirement planning. They have Agile retirement planning. Okay. Not sure what that means, but okay, it sounds good. So what does Agile mean?
I think either faster or
Mhm.
rapid. But I also think adaptable.
Okay, faster, rapid, I like that. Adaptable. Anyone else? Yes. Responsive, right. Actually listening to customers, it's kind of nice when we do that. I like it when they listen to me. Anyone else?
Lean.
Yeah. Lean, yeah. And lean is what?
That is an agile technology.
Mhm.
I always think manifestos, all the principles.
Oh, yeah,
that
exactly.
stuff.
Yeah, it boils down to just cutting down the waste. You know, my favorite analogy of it is kind of like when I go out and get steak, I want a lean steak. I don't want as much fat because that's considered the waste part. Exactly. All right, so yeah, these are all great answers here. So when we talk about this, and I'll go through these different learning objectives here, just to give you, and we'll kind of do a little condensed version, but basically what is the difference between traditional and agile? How many of y'all are familiar with traditional project management? Certified in it? Some? Okay. And so this kind of came around, and I'll give you the origin story for Agile real quick. It was a bunch of programmers that got together in 2000 at a ski lodge. And in between skiing, they kind of developed this. This is how we're doing software now. It's different from the traditional project management that we're doing. You know, this is the new principles. What are we actually doing here and documenting this? And then we'll talk about, you know, when to use it, because I have a good friend of mine who thinks everything should be done using Agile project management. I can tell you right now, I live outside. I live in Maryland. Y'all know about the Purple Line? Okay. They're building it outside my neighborhood. So I get to see it every night. I think they're building an Agile way, and they really should do it the traditional way, because with Agile, we just do a little bit, then we see how it goes. And I don't think that's a good thing to do with the road. I think you should have it planned out. So yeah, every night I get to see a new traffic pattern when I get home. So yeah, we can see when you need to use it, when you don't need to use it. The Agile Manifesto, the Agile principles, the whole philosophy behind Agile. And this is one of the things I talk to people about, because you get people that say they're doing Agile, and I call it Agile theater. Because Agile is a mindset. It's how you do things, right? It's like lean when you talk about it. I've seen a lot of executives say, we're lean. And I'm thinking, are you really thinking lean? Are you really thinking about how to cut out waste and such? Because the first thing that happens with lean and Agile is that you do your little experimentation. Sometimes experiments fail. And when you beat up your project team, well, you're not doing Agile. You're not doing lean. Then we'll talk about the Scrum Agile project management method. That's probably the most popular one out there. There are plenty of other models out there, but I'm going to show you this one. And we're going to talk a little bit about describe the 3 roles, okay? Does this sound like fun? All right. I can tell when you get bored because I'll watch the eyes glaze over, but all right. So project management, basically, if it's Agile or traditional, this is what we're doing here. We're initiating an idea, a vision. We're trying to build something, right? We plan it, we monitor it, control, execute, and complete. That's the 5 phases. Y'all are pretty familiar with that, right? Okay, makes a lot of sense. When I do my general introduction to project management in general, when I talk to folks at USPTO, I just say, you know, have you ever planned a wedding? You ever built a house? You know, have you ever had a house built? You ever had a family vacation? You do all this, right? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but you know, most people are intuitive project planners or managers. Is what we go through. Now, this is the way the traditional waterfall project management looks. And I like this because it looks like an actual waterfall. And with waterfalls, and you've all seen the salmon that stream upstream to go back to their spawning grounds and such. You ever seen pictures of them before they hit the waterfall? And when they get there to their spawning grounds, they age tremendously. It is horrible. Anyone ever try to go up a waterfall? Easy to go down one. I did that at Boy Scout camp once. I accidentally went over it in a canoe. Thank goodness it was a small one, but you're not going to canoe back up it, okay? So with traditional project management, when I used to do this at Social Security, we'd have our analysis phase, make sure we get all our requirements because our customers know everything they want, right? Exactly. Then we get to the design phase and we design for everything, right? And then we do the implementation, the testing, deployment. And every time we go through these phases, it's a little bit harder to go back. I've had to go through some projects and in the design phase, oh, we made a mistake in our analysis, we're gonna have to go back. That's not too bad. If I'm in the testing phase and I have to go back, that's gonna be expensive. That could kill some projects. That's why Agile came around. So this is the thing to go. You're going downhill. Look at the Agile project management. And even if you don't read these, what do you notice first of all about Agile?
Pieces.
Pieces, yep, pieces.
Shorter.
Shorter, yeah. What else do you notice? Huh?
No uphill.
No uphill. It's kind of circular, isn't it? We just seem to go in circles. And it's what we do here is we have this item we have called a backlog. Though at USPTO, I am forbidden to use the word backlog. I say features list because we don't want to talk about our backlog. And then what we do is we take some pieces, we go and we build it in what we call an iteration, a sprint. And then we release it and make sure that people are okay with it before we go on, okay? So we build it in pieces. And we always constantly check in with the customer. Back a long time ago, it's actually kind of before Agile, I was back at Social Security, and I was trained in 1997 on something called RADJAD. Anyone ever heard of that? Rapid Application Development, Joint Application Development. What they did is we basically got the customer with the developers. I was building computer applications for Social Security, and they would basically stay in the room with us, and we would do wireframes and demos of the application and test it that way. So we were kind of doing some joint application, we were doing some Agile there. But once we got them, okay, this is what you want, this is what it looks like, this is how it's going to operate, then we built it for them the traditional way. That was a precursor there. But we did a lot of work on making sure they were happy with it and taking pieces of it. So we did a lot of iterative work there. So the idea here is with waterfall development, and I've been on some projects where we spent a lot of time and we built it and we delivered it and the customer hated it and we just wasted all our time and effort. There's some amazing, one of the things when I was working on my PhD dissertation, I studied government project failure. People said, man, you must have had a lot of examples. I had a lot. And I would examine, it's like the FBI had a great case, great project. They were trying to do a case file and they built it, they did it twice using traditional project management methods. Took 10 years, total failure at the delivery. Last time they did it on Agile, actually delivered it. But that's what happens. Sometimes you build all this and it just goes and it's just, you're not delivering the value. With waterfall iterative development, at least at some point they can say that's enough, don't go any further. And I want to go, one thing that people tell me is that Agile projects don't fail. They can fail. They can fail badly. Britain was, the National Health Service that Britain has, right? They did a major multi-pound, billion-pound project. It was Agile. It failed. So Agile projects can fail, but at least at some point you can pull the plug on them. Okay, but don't let people tell you that Agile doesn't fail. It can fail, but you can spot it quicker and at least kind of recover some of that. Any questions so far? Making sense? Okay. So one of the things I like with this is, you've all heard of the iron triangle for the project management, traditional project management, right? And what I like to do in class, can you do both of these at the same time, but I like to kind of do a little triangle and talk about time, cost, and quality and balancing those, right? You've heard the old joke about you can have it fast, you can have it cheap, and you can have it now, but, or fast, cheap, whatever, and good. Yeah, exactly, thank you. But pick two of the three. That's pretty much a triangle for you right there. So a lot of times, this is what happens. I'm trying to balance the scope, what the requirements are, the cost, and the quality. What I like about Agile is I can flip that triangle upside down, and I know, well, okay, I'm going to start with the most important feature you want. Okay, I got so much time, I got so much cost. You got time and cost. I'm going to start with the most important feature you want. I'll build that. I'll build the second feature. At some point, we're going to run out of money or time or patience, and I'll just snap that triangle off, and at least I'll be able to give you something. All right? As compared to some traditional projects where it doesn't deliver. I have to get all the pieces together to work for you. So when do we use it? Robert K. Kiyosaki, guru, wrote a great book, Effective Project Management. And I love his project management canvas here. If you know where you're going, if the goal is clear, and you know how to get there, then you might want to use traditional project management approaches. So like the purple line, we know where we're going. We know, I think they know how to build a railroad. We know how to build those. Why don't we use traditional project management, right? because we know what our target is, we got the requirements, we got it scoped, it's good, and we know we can deliver with it. Because one thing, I get some of my folks say, well, we got Agile, we don't have to use traditional, that doesn't work anymore. It still works, just look at the situation. Compared to though, let's say if you have a goal, all right, this coronavirus, we want to cure it. We want to stop it, we want to make sure that we don't have any issues with it, right? That's our goal, we're pretty clear on that. How do we do that? Not sure. This is where experimentation comes in, right? We'll try various methods here. Like with cancer research, when you look at that, we have various cancers out there. We'll try different things. We'll starve the tumor cells. We'll make sure it can't transport through the blood. We got different methods here. So we have a clear goal, but we're not sure how to get there. So that's where Agile can help you, because with Agile, I can test out various solutions and I can incorporate changes as they come along. Does that make sense? Now the top two here is always kind of funny to me. If you have kind of a clear, you're not really sure where you want to go, but you got somewhat of a goal, clear goal, not too clear on it, and you're not sure how to get there, you can use extreme project management. That's intense research projects. I've done that myself where I want to build some kind of HR solution that'll help us with talent management, but I'm not sure where it's going to go with that. And I don't really know how we're going to do that. So we try various technologies. I'm actually doing that right now. So we're doing extreme project management. It looks a lot like Agile, but we're essentially changing things as we go along. We're looking at various disciplines there. Does that make sense? It's kind of wild. And then the one here where I've got a solution, but I'm not sure about the goal. And is there any vendors in the room? Because I'm going to insult you. I get a call once a week from vendors like maybe Salesforce or some learning management system that says, hey, I've got this perfect solution for you. And I said, well, what is it going to solve for me? He said, well, what kind of problems do you have? So you got this great solution for me that's going to solve my problems, but you don't know what problems are. That's kind of what we call, and that's why I like how he does it backwards. The Emertex project management. I built something, now let's go see if we can make it work on something. All right? All right, anyone seen the Agile Manifesto before? Okay, so on the left-hand side, you see the things that are in bold. And this is what they said, and this is where some of the misperception comes in. These on the right are basically your traditional project management stuff. These are still important, all right? They just value this over these. So if I had to have processes and tools, I'd rather spend more time on the individuals and interaction. That makes sense? Yeah, I'd better spend time talking to the people. Because I train a lot of project managers, and sometimes I can accuse them of trying to feed the beast. They get so wrapped up in Microsoft project and making sure the Microsoft project plan is so perfect. I keep saying, well, what about your actual project? Are you delivering? Because you're delivering the perfect project plan, but that's not what I want the project for. I want some working product. I don't want, something where you've done the project. I know you're doing project management right. Now give me a working project. This is where maybe we get the knowledge management issue here. And one of the things I want to challenge you on to think about this. Can you consider a working project part of your knowledge management? Okay, why is that?
It's part of the information.
Yeah. Because when people think, knowledge management, what's the first thing they think of?
Knowledge base.
Knowledge base, right. Documents, right? My wife's an archivist, a records manager. She deals with paper all the time. That's her specialty. And when she's helping these agencies go from paper to digital transformation, that's what everyone thinks about documentation. It's paper, right? And I'd rather have a working product. And a lot of times I say, maybe your code is also documentation. Then we have the customer collaboration with contract negotiation. I deal with a lot of vendors sometimes that want to stay with the contract and say, well, why don't you talk to me about delivering what I want? Anyone ever run into that? Oh, yeah. And then responding to change versus following a plan. My favorite example of this, you ever read in the news stories about people that have a GPS system and they're following it so closely that they drive into a pond or they drive off the road? And that's what I do sometimes in my project people. Get out of your Microsoft project, stop following that plan, look at what's going on in your project, okay? The 12 Agile processes, and we'll have copies of this for you, but you've all seen the Agile principles before? There's a lot of good stuff in here that is knowledge management when you think about it. The most efficient and effective method of conveying information to and with a development team is face-to-face conversation. How do we capture that for our knowledge management purposes? Do we record everything? We have meeting notes. How do we record that? How do we do that? Mm-hmm.
A lot of times people don't take them, or they take them poorly.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Best architectures, the requirements, and designs emerge from self-organizing teams. Have you ever done an after-action review with these self-organizing teams and trying to figure out what in the world where did you come up with this idea? Or, not in a bad way, but who said this? How did you come up with this? I'm trying to I'm reconstructing the trail to determine why you made certain decisions the way you did. Because you can see how that can be valuable, right? I am trying to cut down the amount of time that we can build on Agile projects. And part of it is with retrospectives, where we have them sit down and think about what did we do? What could we do better next time? And that's where knowledge management can really help them, because a lot of them times they keep starting from scratch. I say, where's the lessons learned from the last project? Or about the 3 projects ago that you worked on? So, have you seen the Scrum? Anyone here seen the Scrum before? Okay. It's a soccer term, and I'm not that much of a soccer knowledge person. My boss, who was English, one of my bosses is English, said he thought it was kind of strange they used the term Scrum, because when you look at it, Scrum is, you've got a bunch of players fighting over the ball at once. It looks kind of chaotic and disorganized. So he doesn't know why they would use that, but basically the concept is that the product would pop right out, right? So you guys are going to go through some scrums here. You're going to go through some sprints. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some features to build your Lego airplane with. That's our backlog here. And I'm going to shortcut a little bit. I'm going to give you what I want you to build, okay? Usually the team would decide, but I want to kind of get you through this fast. So I'm going to give you what I want you to build for me. Those tasks are going to be your sprint. We're going to have maybe 3 or 4 sprints here. And they're going to be about 5 minutes. And you're going to build a plane for me. And at each point, you're going to have something where the plane has to work after the first sprint. So it can't be like in progress, all right? We'll get to the idea of minimal viable products. Yes, ma'am. 420? Well, then I better hurried up, right? Okay. So at the end of the sprint, we have these little reviews, retrospectives. We have the customer come in, they review. Hey, did you like the product? They tell us why not. We do a retrospective with our team, see what we can do better, all right? So I'm going to go through some of these. You can have the slides, but that's a product backlog for you. That's what it looks like. We list all the items, then we pick from them. And when we pick the items from this backlog, and there's a whole point scoring system that we can use, and you might want to capture these in your knowledge management. We're looking for business value, biggest thing of all. Okay, so when we pick figures, we want to, or pick features, we want to do that. We want to make sure we're picking the ones with biggest value, plus something we can implement. And one thing about product backlogs, they are dynamic. You don't just write it down once, and then we just stay with the product backlog no matter. You are looking at market conditions. In fact, as a product owner, I have to keep constantly looking at the backlog right now, what we're working on, looking at the backlog in the future, and looking at what we did in the past. Because I'm looking at market conditions, because there's nothing worse, and I've done this before when I was an early IT project manager, building a product that no one wants. I did that once, almost cost me my job. Okay, so I learned that the hard way. There's your sprint cycle. Have some fun with it. Kanban boards. We talked a little bit about the minimum viable product here. The idea is that at each stage, you're going to build some value for me, okay? It's not going to be like at the top where we're building a car and you get like a wheel and you got some, the floor and all that. You're going to build me something. At the very least, I'll get a car at the end, but at least I'll get a scooter, okay? And I might get a bicycle, I might get a motorbike. So I'm going to be demanding that your plane fly. Well, don't throw it though, because the bricks will break. But I want it feasibly to fly, okay? Sprint review. And we'll actually kind of look at this back because we're going to be talking about the knowledge management. Sprint retrospective. Basically 3 big questions. What went well? What could have been improved? What actions are we going to take? And then we keep saying, do we go through the skin or do we stop? And who decides when we stop? No, don't let the project manager tell you. I get paid by the hour, so I'll keep it going as long as I can. It's the product owner, right? The customer, product owner. Product owner is the voice of the customer, right? And there are Agile projects I call the death spiral. It's kind of like around a black hole. We don't know when to stop. We just keep going because the customer always comes up with this new, I hate the phrase, wouldn't it be neat if we did this? Oh my gosh, stop. So we can get to these, but basically you're going to be the development team. Someone mentioned product owner. That is the voice of the customer. In your product team, you're going to have a product owner that's going to come up here and talk to me. I'm going to be the customer. And you may have a Scrum coach, but I'm going to go ahead and get you all without one this time. Okay? But the Scrum coach is basically keeping you on the process. All right. Are you all ready? Okay, so how many we got here? 4, 7, 9, 10. Okay, oh, good. 2 teams of 5. Perfect. These are your pens. These are your papers. Paper you can use, scissors, and tape. And let's see, how do we want to do this? Can I get you, ma'am, in the pink shirt there to go with this team? You guys are going to be a team here, okay? Yeah. Take your paper, and I'm going to start giving you Legos. It's finally going to be a self-organizing team. So the first thing is to self-organize yourself. Okay. So cluster around the table. Okay. You got the Legos? Now, very quickly, on your team, someone choose a product owner. I don't care how you do it, but choose a product owner, come up here and talk to me. There you go. Okay. And you'll need some paper and a pen to write down, okay? So you guys, okay, so you're product owner for them? Okay. Who's the product owner for this team? You're the product owner.
I'll be the product.
Okay. So, can't look at my magic. Hey, Terry, you need something to write down with, okay? Get over there, please. Okay, go ahead and sit there. I'll go over there.
I'm just gonna,
Okay.
oh, okay.
Yeah, go ahead. All right, guys. So this first iteration, and you got 5 minutes. I need you to build a plane for me. And you can ask me questions anytime you want. Okay. I need you to build a plane for me that has windows. That's the most important value. That's about 10 on our business value. Okay. I need cockpits.
We're putting weeks.
You know, I'm not saying our client's smart, okay? I actually have a friend of mine here, and I see he's a completely confused owner. He's the customer, right? Do we want to argue with the customer? Not necessarily. Okay, not right away. Just work with it. Okay, so we got a cockpit. That's 3 on the business value, so you got Windows 10, cockpit 3. I want a logo, and you can just cut it out of the paper, attach it with the tape, whatever you want to do. I need a door, so people can get in and out. Okay, 3. We need landing gear. Now, where are our wings? Okay. We need a hanger. You can build that out of the paper here, all right? And let me see, cockpit is 3, logo is 3, doors 3, landing gear is 3, and business value. Hanger is 4. We need a hanger because we got to keep it out of the weather. I need a flag. Okay, I don't care what country, whatever. 4. And we need flags. That's actually 5 on the business value. Flags. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, okay. And we'll save this one for the next one. Okay. Ready? So I'm going to start the timer. You got 5 minutes to build a plane. Yeah, I know. And it's got to be flight worthy. Some people said if it could just go rolling down the highway, would that be enough? Okay, maybe.
Can we build it out of paper and Legos or just the Legos?
Oh, we build it out of paper and Legos.
Okay.
Yeah. And you got tape and you got scissors up here, so just share. I had to go to OPM today, that's why I didn't bring extra scissors, because I was going to bring scissors through security.
And Windows, so as being
Totally.
Windows are important. No one has any questions?
For starters, does it
As long as they can motor along, we're okay. Yeah.
I might be a little paper
I mean, it's got landing gear, so you can use that to roll it.
Okay, so that's okay.
But
it's kind of a window. Okay, it's kind of a window.
3 minutes and 30 seconds left.
So.
Yeah, that's right. And I come inspected.
Here's a hanger. Go right in that hanger.
Okay, so it has landing gear. Are those the only wheels? You have? Wheels count for. Windows. Okay, so good.
Okay.
This is good.
Someone asked a great question. I have spare parts up here if you need to go through these.
So it's got windows.
2 minutes and 30 seconds.
I was just about that. Yeah. A logo? Yeah. Are you gonna do a logo? Or are you just throw them?
One by the left and the other side.
Yeah.
You'll see having our 10 videos.
Oh, deal.
Okay.
2 minutes.
One set of flaps and one set of flaps here.
Well, but we got.
All right. For those that are playing along at home, we can send you instructions on how to do this at your own workplace and run this own Agile Lego simulation. So I have the materials and things that you need. Yes. What's your question, sir?
We need another yellow thing like that.
Okay. I have a spare parts bag here. You're welcome to come look at.
Flaps count for 5.
There you go. No problem. And you got a minute left. Oh, you take those back with you. Save some time.
I don't see what we need.
Yeah.
This works.
Maybe more like this. This is in good shape plane. Like, the idea is.
30 seconds.
This is the
Door. Yeah. Oh, this is flaps like this.
15 seconds.
Put the flaps like this.
stick those guys.
5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. All right, stop building. Okay, stop building now. All right. All right, let's see. Let's look at our team. Okay, so I'm going to do a check here. Let's see. Where's your plane? Paper. Yeah. Okay. Let's see here. Windows. I need 4 windows.
4 windows.
4 windows. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so you need 2 more windows, so we can pass on that. Can the pilot see? Can the pilot see to the front? Where's our cockpit? Perfect. Okay. Logo. Where's your logo? Power. Okay. Good. Door. That's a huge door, but we'll go with it. Landing gears. Wheels must be round. Are they round?
Not attach the wheels.
Yeah. Okay. I'll give you half points. Okay. Hanger. Where's the hanger?
There we go, that's good.
Okay, it will cover the plane. Good. And flaps.
Got flags here.
Okay. All right. Okay. How'd you guys do? Let's see. I think you passed. It'll fly, right? Yeah. Okay. All right, let's see you guys. Okay, window. Yeah, 4. You did. I didn't have to tell you. Pilot can see to the front. Okay. Logo. Where's your logo? Oh, there it is. Okay. Let's see. Door.
Sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah. Very polite because it's going to be open on the top, right? That's very polite. Landing gear. Okay. Good. Well, you got round wheels. That's great. Hanger. That's perfect. Okay. Flag. Where's our flag? Okay.
Flag right here.
Okay. I did not flag that plane.
Oh.
I know. See. Okay. First thing, guys. Remember, I kept saying, ask me questions because I'm telling you, the customer doesn't always know. Okay. That's one of the things about Agile, right?
So the flag needs to go on the plane.
Yeah. By the way, you guys kept saying, well, should it have wings? Should it be on the flag? Yeah, the customer should know that, but they didn't think about it. But guess what? I'm going to ask for that now. Okay. Pilot. No, we don't. Okay, we'll get to pilot next. All right. There's one. Okay. All right. Y'all ready for the second round? Okay. So send the product owners up with me. Or not product owners, but the product owners. Yes, please. Again, the hint is I'm a customer, but do I know always what I want? Nope. Okay. Okay, so we're going to need a pilot because we realize we need someone to actually operate the plane. That's for the second. The marketing department wants Orioles as advertisement. So we need to have an Orioles advertisement on the plane to be seen on the ground.
Cookies?
Yeah, Oreo cookies.
That's what I was asking.
Yeah, we're
I
trying
was
to.
hoping it was the grass.
The marketing department wants to cross promote Orioles with our plane. It's kind of a revenue thing, okay? Oh, we need a name for the plane. And, colors. Our competitor uses yellow, so we need to take out all the yellow parts.
Oh, no. No yellow part.
Right. Oh, and it has to be aerodynamic. The FAA came by and said we need to be aerodynamic. All right. I think that's enough to beat you all up with. Okay. Ready? Have fun.
I'm disassembling today.
Yeah. I know that really. I get people yelling at me about that. I love that part. And we're starting.
These windows are good. We had to disassemble. That is mostly yellow. Okay, I can't envision how this flap will engage with our.
You know what's funny when you ask that question? I got a lot of engineers at USDCO, and they really get into the mechanics of this. How about this?
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. Yeah. Can this be a wing? Can this be a flap? All our flaps are yellow.
Yeah, unfortunately, all the inverters have able surfaces are yellow.
That name. Oh, yeah.
They're red one.
Can we find some parts that might not
Sure.
be yellow?
We got a spare parts bag over here if you need it. Why don't you just take it with you and keep it?
Well, then we're gonna have to go back to the base. Do you have a cockpit?
And a pilot?
Stick a little cockpit on there.
3 minutes and 30 seconds.
Oh, that's a good wing, so we got flat. But how about the wheel? What about the wheel? Oh, we have a bunch of wheels. Can you stick this whole thing on the bottom somehow? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, just so they're real.
Oh, where's the tape at? Anyone have the tape right up there?
Source of these.
You see my engineer in the USB keyboard, they get so much into this. It's crazy. 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
I forget what the Oreo logo looks like. Yeah, there you go. Can we stick that to the bottom? And what does an Oreo look, I forget what an Oreo logo looks like. Oh, yeah. Oh, is it Oreo or Oreo? Oh, the cookies.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, good, good. That's excellent. Excellent.
Okay. 2 minutes.
You still at 10 minutes? We've lost our flaps. Yeah. Maybe we can come up with some notional.
Yeah.
Notional. Yeah, you can do a paper flap. We had to change out our yellow flaps.
Oh, yeah.
People are on the yellow.
They do look like an Oreo.
Good idea.
Okay, now what are you building up in that? Oh, okay.
The biggest difference between agile and traditional is change is your friend in agile. So some people don't feel that way.
These people.
1 minute.
Just take that off.
Just as a logo.
All right.
Oh, we need a pilot. A pilot? Oh, okay, so we have to make a little man, right?
30 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah, these are the new ones.
These leggings don't all fit.
Reduce the piercing drag.
15 seconds.
Yeah, these are flaps.
10,
These are wheels.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 2, 1.
Oh, okay.
Okay, stop building.
Okay.
Stop building. Let's see what you guys. Okay, what did I ask for? You got a pilot?
Yeah.
All right. That's a pilot. Oh, that's pretty cool. Orioles advertising. Yeah, I can see it from 10,000. Okay. Name? What's your name? Transformer. Okay, cool. Colors. Is there any yellow?
Not really.
Painted over the yellow.
Yeah, we can't agree.
Okay. That's the first team that's ever done that. That's pretty good. Aerodynamic.
Got winglets too.
Wings. Yeah, you good. Okay.
Flaps.
You passed this time. So your pilot has yellow hands, right?
Those are gloves.
Oh, it's gloves. Okay, I'll take them off. It's like, okay. Where's our plane? All right. It's gonna block it like it. Okay. So let's see here. Do we have a pilot?
Yeah.
Oh, it's laying down? Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Or long. Or Reels advertisement. Okay. On the logo. Okay. Name. What's the name of the plane?
Pipeline.
Pipeline. Good. Is it on the plane? Name on the plane? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of marketing. Colors. Any yellow?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's.
Aerodynamic. Has wings, flaps, tail. And you get tail. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna do another sprint. We'll do this last sprint here. Here's the bad news, guys. We have a competitor that came to market, so we gotta accelerate getting this baby out here. So I'm giving you 3 minutes, okay? Yeah, I know, it's gonna have fun. So let me get this. Actually, I'll be generous. I'll give you 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Isn't that nice? All right. So we need to make sure we have a tail, okay? Make sure we got wings. Looks like we got those. Here's the tough part. The Federal Aviation Administration has mandated that you must have at least 80 pieces on your plane. 80. Yes, because that makes it fly better for an FAA. That's government regulation for you. I don't know. Okay. And you got 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Y'all got it?
Somebody start counting pieces.
No yellow pieces.
Maybe big and small. Little bitty pieces, but just count how many pieces are there.
I was gonna say, just some big pieces together, whatever is not yellow.
I have a spare parts bag if you need it.
Okay.
2 minutes and 30 seconds. You gotta get to market before our competitor does.
Yeah, somebody needs to.
Yep.
Yeah. You count.
What purpose would you add these? I can't find one to go together. Go together.
Yeah, that was me. I mean, wasn't it? Put some bad parts in there.
Oh, this-
2 minutes. So 1 minute, 30 seconds.
There's another one. How many pieces? I don't know.
There's two more.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
1 minute.
Here's a window.
These are under storage.
45 seconds.
Double the row of three
30 seconds.
little guys.
Oh, yeah. 20 seconds.
Just put our little wheels on, and put our name on.
15 seconds. 10, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right.
Okay, put it close, at least put it close.
Okay. This happens a lot.
We're so sure you're ready to buy.
Oh, yeah. Let's check her out here. We got a tail, right?
Yes.
80 pieces? I'm not gonna count them.
Oh, good, yeah.
Where's our hanger?
Hangers over there.
Oh, there, okay. Oops, it's been crushed. Okay. Let's see what you guys got.
I think that's a fire I was
Okay. You got beans? Tiny beans, okay. Symmetric?
Realize these Legos
Yeah.
are not
You
compatible.
got a tail, that's
Yeah.
actually the size of the tail you should have. Okay, and 80 pieces? I'm gonna bet you do. All right. So, go ahead and end that, just re-screen. So what do y'all think?
I'm
Fun?
sure how crazy it would be.
It is, yeah. So, now we usually, exactly, you have to start building. So usually when I do the debrief on this, I'll ask people, at what point did y'all become a team? And start assigning roles and start figuring out what to do, right?
Early pitched in.
Yeah, y'all kind of pitched in, you guys did too. I mean, I've had some where the base of the team splits off into two and they're gonna build their own plane. Right. Or someone takes control and starts yelling at each other, you know? You do this, you do that, and then they rebel, so it's always kind of fun. But with you guys, what I want to ask is, what are the knowledge management moments when you were doing this? Okay, because I know you're so hung up on building the plane and doing the agile process.
Collaboration, there was innovation. She had quite a bit of innovation.
So I put this up there for you. So that's the sprint diagram. So where in this process should we best capture knowledge?
The changes.
Changes, okay. In the beginning?
In the workflow.
Well, anytime you try to trigger our
Uh-huh.
this one, and then in each sprint.
Right. Do you like that I kept changing requirements on you?
No.
Well, that's agile. Change is my friend, right? How'd y'all feel about me taking out all the yellow pieces?
That's not.
Exactly, right. So think about that, okay? I had you basically disassemble your plane. Should there be a knowledge management moment there? Like, what did we build before and what we didn't? Yeah. Because, you know, I've been reading this in the aerospace thing about, you know, we can't build a Saturn V today because we've lost the knowledge on how to do that. You all heard that cliche, but we can build other things. So think about this. We're so busy building and running and making sure we got a product, right? When do we capture when we made the changes and the decisions? Who made the decisions in your team?
We were all simultaneously.
Okay. Okay, so you're all making decisions, right? Collaborate. Or product owner. Okay, yes, ma'am.
I thought that was awesome. Just I'll call it information discovery, like,
Mhm.
well, I know it's your influence when
Yeah.
right now we're at the top lane. I,
Mhm.
is it Oreos or Oreos, like the same thing?
I love that. Yes.
You know, that's an important
Yeah.
distinction.
And that's a big thing I see with agile teams. I keep telling them all the time to collaborate, and then we discovered something over here. Why do you tell the rest of the team? Because we're spending all our time spinning our wheels, and you knew the solution. Yes, sir.
Yeah, several things throughout the process that happened sort of spontaneously. One of our team members did something extremely important. That was she photographed it multiple times, so we literally had a definition of the configuration
Mhm.
as it evolved. Secondly, we took a change and turned it into an opportunity and eliminated yellow. Our flaps were yellow. We had to take them off. We came up with more efficient, lighter weight design. So
Yeah.
we took the
Mhm.
requirement change and rolled it into a
Mhm.
process.
And see, what I love is that's great. And this is the thing. You're learning new things, right? So sharing it within the team. One thing I keep trying to do is get my agile teams to share across their agile projects. Because you learned a new thing, right? Now, I'm not building just one plane. I'm building several planes. So that stuff you just learned, how do I get that to other people? Okay? And again, I want to go back to this collaboration part. So we're all making decisions. We're a self-organizing team. We're all taking charge of the decisions. Who's noting the decisions? Who is noting the decisions? Who's keeping up with the decisions? Who's telling me when we're making decisions? And who's collecting those for us?
Product owner keeps like a status of what's needed.
Mm-hmm.
But the actual changes that we make, that's something
Right.
we all, it just occurs
Mm-hmm.
and maybe should be writing it down.
We did discuss in your role as the requirements person. There was
Mm-hmm.
discussion, do we have this, do we have this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, so there was assurance process
Mm-hmm.
taking place.
And the
With
product owner,
requirements,
and I apologize, I apologize for skipping over this. The product owner is the voice of the customer. So you go back and you talk to the rest of the organization. So you are the single point of contact for the rest of the organization. So you're keeping up with, yeah, you're right. So maybe you have a knowledge management role that way. Yeah.
through
Because,
dialogue.
yeah, because your backlog is all the requirements in your backlog. And that's what you keep up with, and you keep it constantly groomed, but you work with the team on it, right? So that's your single point of documentation there. And then your sprint documents, your sprint backlog, right? Should there be other documentation? Because again, they'll freak out. Every Agile team does not want extra documentation, but should there be other?
Absolutely.
What kind?
So you talk about after action review, you're talking about knowledge in the workflow.
Yeah.
Collaboration, social.
Yeah, we got 2 major events going on. Right, exactly. Yes, ma'am.
The one thing that we weren't necessarily formally doing is the Scrum ceremony. So, like, when we have Scrum ceremonies, it's usually daily or semi.
Oh, yeah, the stand-up, right?
Talk through changes, but we don't necessarily capture them, we just apply.
Right.
So, or it's just an opportunity to connect with each other if something's not working out.
Exactly. And what she's talking about, I don't know if y'all are familiar with this. I call them the stand-ups.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically it's like, what are you going to work on? What have you accomplished? What do you need help with? And I'm always thinking, well, who's capturing that for me? Because I want to see how this changes over time. If I'm the person, I'm at my 4th, stand-up meeting, and this has still caused me trouble, what does that tell you? Yeah, we need to,
Nobody's documented, nobody's searching.
Right. Yeah. Yes, sir. Oh, I thought you had a question. Gentleman up front here. Oh, you're just playing with a pen? Okay.
So one of the things that you maybe think of is when does a team decide that they need to search?
Excellent.
And I don't know if anybody is really driving that.
There is,
rather than, you see so many project teams that will turn to their coworker or Skype or whatever across the nether readers, but
it happens all the time. Yeah, and you're right, because we get someone, and how many of you are programmers or no programmers? Where's the place they usually go to? Stack Overflow?
yeah.
Right. So I've had this on Stack Overflow. Where did you find on the Stack Overflow? Well, let me go look at my bookmarks. Or hopefully it's in my history. Right, exactly. And if I find it and I'm answering your question, how do I get to the rest of the team?
Right. If I find it's useful, it's going to be useful for somebody else.
Right. So where do I post this so everyone can use it?
In the central knowledge base.
Okay. We got one of those on our Agile teams?
Absolutely.
How about for the whole organization? So all Agile teams. Yeah. What time you got?
We have now 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Okay. So I want to make sure we get out here at 5. So what did y'all think? Was this useful?
Yes.
Okay. Did you see where knowledge managers can come in? This is one of my crusades. This is why I'm getting you guys to help me, because I work with a lot of Agile teams, and many times I go, well, how did you make that decision, or what led to that decision? And it's a torturous process to reconstruct it, because we're right in the middle of building this. This is why I time compress it. You're so busy building, who's noting what we're doing, and who's sharing the knowledge? And you, like a central knowledge base, right? What would work for me in Agile?
You need coaches.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, that's why we have the Scrum Master.
But we looked at tools, like recording tools.
Yeah, recording tools, yeah.
Freeware, you can just be recording the discussion.
Right. But you're right, the Scrum Master, now with the designated roles, the Scrum Master just makes sure the process works and the team is working well. Do you want to add knowledge management to the Scrum Master's role?
Right now, I am my project manager and Scrum Master.
Right.
And I do really wish every time we have a meeting, I wish I was the one able to take notes.
Yes.
Someone else does.
Because it's been 20 years since the Agile Manifesto, and there's been a big discussion in the community about, do we need to revisit this? Do we need to rethink about how we do things? That's why disciplined Agile delivery started coming about. And then you got some folks, I love these Fortune articles, Agile is dead. And I'm thinking, well, what are you replacing it with? Okay.
Well, they've said knowledge management's dead.
Yeah.
Well, how long is knowledge management dead?
I think it's on its fourth,
Right.
knowledge management's dead.
Yeah.
And that was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It's alive right now.
It is. I mean, it's going to be, it always say it. A good friend of mine, great professor friend of mine, wrote a wonderful book. And I love this one line in his book. He talked about organizational theory. And he said, organizational theory is like the pet cemetery, Stephen King's book. You put theories in there and they come back to life. Sometimes I feel like knowledge management's like that. It's like the pet cemetery. You know, oh, it's dead. Oh, no, it's not. It's back. All right, so I'm going to end this. Can you put the Legos in the bags for me? I don't care how. That'd be perfect. Thank you so much. I hope you had a good time. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, no problem.
That was great.
Thank you. Yeah, you enjoy it? Yeah. So we need to rewrite the Scrum Manifesto.
Thank you for watching KMCDC's presentation. Hope to see you at the next monthly meeting.